In this video, we're going to take a look at a red ink by Pelikan in their Edelstein series, their 2014 Ink of the Year, Garnet. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. And if you like red inks, there's a link to that playlist down in the description. I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Let's take a look at the first writing sample, 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 21 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation, we didn't get it, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you're writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Pelikan P200 with a fine nib was inked up, used for day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no ghosting. Yeah, there's some that comes through with the scrubby, but I really never hold that against it. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 23 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 32 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and the smear test you could not recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put into water. And we see that there's a faint gray line at the bottom and the rest of this red pushes its way up. Now it's got a light orange at the bottom of it and a much darker red at the top. Very nice. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water, and honestly, there's not much difference between the two of these, and I don't expect much resistance. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. The only bleed spots that occur at the scrubby, which never mean a thing to me. Other than that, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 12 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 21 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, and we didn't get it, and the smear test you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. This smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, we do see a little bit of movement at the top of that lowercase h. So I'm pretty risk averse. I actually don't use this for note taking if I need to highlight, although I do use it for note taking when I know I don't need to. Water is reactivating and lifting all the red, but we see a tiny bit, or most all of the red, we see a tiny bit of the red and some of that gray still left. Now it only takes water for me to get this out of my pen. The pen flesh does everything that water does, nothing more. You didn't need it, I didn't need it. The 1/3 bleach solution that you're not going to need and I didn't need completely obliterates it off the page. The next writing sample is done on TWSBI notebook paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is just a tad lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 13 seconds to dry. The medium is much darker than everything else on the page, like this dark tone. No feather spread, halo sheen or shade, and 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. It looks gorgeous. The smear test says you could probably recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Edelstein's 2014 Ink of the Year, Garnet, has a viscosity of 1.79, making this a wet ink. Now, if you're interested in how I do all the viscosity tests and build that curve, There's a link to that video down in the description. Let's take a look at the last writing sample done on moleskin paper. Yes, there is a lot of bleeding that this paper has, especially with the medium at the top. A bunch of little spots that are occurring with the extra fine. Now, strangely, with as deep as this bleeding with the medium looks, it never touched the page underneath, which shocked me. I just don't think you could use the back of the page if you're using a medium, but you could if it was an extra fine. The medium has feathering all over it. Constant, tiny, distracting feathering. No spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, just gross. The extra fine has very minor feathering in only a few spots, like the K in quick has some minor feathering that's going on there. The top of the H in the has some very minor feathering that's going on there. Other than that, not so much. No spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, 3 seconds to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation, and the writing showed none, and the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Edelstein's Garnet has an average dry time of 21 seconds, putting it right on the edge, but still normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Edelstein's Garnet, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I like this red a lot, and I want to put it with a color I like a lot, like blue-black. So I chose Callifolio's Bonne Esperance. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those videos. So what do I think of Pelikan Edelstein's 2014 Ink of the Year, Garnet? Before I get into what I'm actually writing here, I'd like to point out that this sample I've been holding on to for a very long time. It's actually the 328th chromatography and resistance that I ever did. And it's waited all the way till now because I had used up what I had and couldn't write with it. But then I got a hold of 2 bottles of this ink. And then last year, they brought this ink out of retirement to my joy and dismay because I did pay a little too much for those bottles. This I originally tried in cartridges. I bought this pen just because of those cartridges. I liked this ink that much. When the ink was revised, I immediately purchased 2 more bottles. I like it a lot. Despite my normal feeling about red inks, I can't help but to love using this one. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? I am certainly very biased in this, that I liked this ink so much as a cartridge that I purchased a pen for this ink. So for me, I see it as dealer's choice because I always like it. You can put this ink into any pen you have, or you can do what I did and buy a pen just to be able to use those 2014 Ink of the Year cartridges up. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Iroshizuku's Azalea.